Welcome back. Welcome back to From the Shed End. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back. Wow, I don't even know where to start with this one. Where do we start with this one? Where do we start? Where do we start with this one? I need to talk. I need to talk. I need to vent. I need to rant. I need to do all of that in this next hour. So if you're here and you're part of this live stream, or you're here after the live stream, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Please make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments and hit that Linktree link in the description as well, because my head's still in the clouds. My head is still in the actual clouds. I did a video of the match reaction yesterday. I couldn't even put that out. I couldn't even put it out. It would have got taken down. It couldn't even go up. It was that bad. My head's still in the clouds from everything that's just happened at this club. Let's start with the news that's just broke. Let's start there first of all, before we get into yesterday, because I need to compose myself. But Trevor Chalobah, according to David Ornstein, according to a lot of sources now, looks like Trevor Chalobah will be coming back to the club. It's probably a good place to start, actually. It's probably a really good place to start. Trevor Chalobah. Chelsea have activated a clause to recall Trevor Chalobah from his loan at Crystal Palace. The Athletic, it says here, David Ornstein dropped this an hour ago. We activated the release clause. Chalobah, who joined season-long loan, Crystal Palace. They've now triggered the mechanisms, and the 25-year-old defender will return to Stamford Bridge with immediate effect. It means he will not be available for Palace when they travel to Leicester City on Wednesday, having made 14 appearances since moving in August. It says here there's a good relationship between all parties who helped facilitate the transfer originally, and there is appreciation at Chelsea for Palace handling of the matter. Obviously, Wesley Fofana, Badiashiel's out, so we needed to get some sort of cover. It does leave Palace in a bit of a predicament though. But look, Trevor Chalobah's our player, so there was always going to be the option that we could recall him. We knew that. But it goes back to what I said before. There's even talk still. Egbali's had to get on the phone to Trevor Chalobah last night and personally ring him. He's had to personally get the phone out and ring Trevor Chalobah, the player that back-to-back summer transfer windows we tried to get rid of and sell for pure profit at the club. There's even talk now that he's been told the reassurances are there. He's had to be reassured he's going to get game time at Chelsea. But you will be sold in the summer. He's been told that already. What kind of message are we sending out to a player? Twice, not once, twice we tried to get rid of him. Twice we've tried to sell him. We forced him to train alone, away from the squad in the summer. We forced him to go to Crystal Palace. And now we've got to recall him back. If that doesn't stink of how bad the ownership of this club has been. We can all talk about title challenges. And when I said we weren't in the title race, I was being called crazy for saying that we weren't in it. Yes, we were behind Liverpool, but no one looks at the league in December. Nobody. If you look at the league in December and say you're going to win the league, then you're crazy. Because even look at Liverpool now. Look at Liverpool now. They're dropping points. So you can't look at the league until, I'd say, the end of this month, February. You start thinking about where you're going to finish in the league. I can guarantee you we need to get top four. Now, that's our objective. But this ownership, over the period that they've had it, Todd Bowley, Egbali, Bluco, all the rest of it, 1.5 billion spent. And guess what? Josh Ashiempong, Levi Colwell, Trevor Chalobah, the three Cobham graduates that we're having to now rely on in our defence after 1.5 billion spent. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. You've got three players. Levi Colwell, Trevor Chalobah in your defence now. Money spent on Wesley Fofana, Axel Disasi, Benoit Badiashile, Koulibaly, neither of them, all four of them are not good enough. And now we're relying on the players that were there in the first place. It tells you how bad the recruitment has been at this club. Go through the list if you don't believe me. Look at all the players you've brought in the last 2 seasons. Some of them have already moved on. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang moved on already. You look at all the players, Raheem Sterling. You could probably argue maybe 3 out of those 1.5 billion that's been spent is actually returning value for money. Cole Palmer, Marco Correa, Moises Caicedo. The 3 out of how much has been spent. And then you're relying on Trevor Chalobah. It shows you that the recruitment, the sporting directors, the owners aren't doing their jobs. Because we can all blame Maresca. We can all sit here and blame Maresca like we did with Potter and Pochettino and Frank Lampard when he came back. But all those managers, you could bring in Pep tomorrow. In fact, he's a bad example. You could bring in Arne Slot tomorrow. Xabi Alonso. They will have the same issues that Enzo Maresca's having right now. The issue doesn't just stop with the manager. The manager's at fault for a lot of things. Let's not sugarcoat that. His in-game management last night was poor. You're 2-1 down. We're going to get onto all the game yesterday, but you're 2-1 down and you're bringing on a defender when you need a goal. It's crazy to me. 81 minutes into the game, but we're going to talk about that in a minute. The manager is not just at fault. Things upstairs are still not right at the club. They're still not good enough at the club at the top. You've got owners that clearly are all about money, and they just want to earn the money. They just want to take the money out of the club. They want to make a profit out of the club, which is fair enough. Okay, but make sure you invest in the team properly. Make sure you're 1.5 billion into this project. And we still don't have a recognised striker that's good enough. We still don't have a goalkeeper that's good with his feet. The distribution's poor. He can't play out from the back. We still don't have a recognised centre-back that is good enough to lead our defenders. After 1.5 billion, we're still looking for the answers. So the manager's not just purely the issue here. Could he do better? Oh, 100%. 110% he could do a lot better, the manager. His in-game management's poor. He's playing Caicedo as a right back. You got Reece James, you got Josh Ashiempong playing centre back, you got Malo Gusto on the bench. There's things that we can talk about in a minute about Maresca. But let's not get distracted by the manager. Because if we sack the manager, the issue's still there. The issue's there. The issue's been there since Potter. We brought in Pochettino. The issues were still there. We sacked Pochettino. We bring in Enzo Maresca. The issues are still here. The recruitment is poor. It's poor. It's poor. You can't have Nicholas Jackson. As much as I criticise the guy, I actually feel sorry for him because you can't have him as the main striker at the club. He should not be playing. He's not playing first choice next season. He can't. If we somehow, by a miracle, make top 4, Nicholas Jackson cannot be the one and only striker we have at that club. Mark Gu, too young. He needs to learn off someone. We can't have him as the striker. I'd give him a chance this season because what else have we got to lose? We got to see Nicholas Jackson best and worst last night, holding up the ball really well. But how many chances does one striker need before you think about taking him off him and trying something different? You can't continue to play in the way that we're playing and expect a different result. But I'm going back to the owners again. In the chat, anyone who's here live, please let me know who, out of the 1.5 billion that we've spent, please tell me which ones have been good. Which ones are good enough to say value for money. Cole Palmer, Marco Correa, Moises Caicedo, that's my 3. You can't put anyone else in that bracket for me. You can't put Enzo Fernandez in there. You can't put Romeo Lavia. You can't put Wesley Fofana. You can't put Badia Shil. You can't put Dezazi. You can't put Jurgensen or Sanchez. You can't put any of those players. You can't put Nicholas Jackson in there. You can't put Madueke in there. You can't put Jadon Sancho in that conversation. None of them have been good enough consistently. No wins in 5. No wins in 5. We could have gone top of the league before Christmas. We're now struggling to to hold on to top four. We're praying that Newcastle drop points tonight. December we thought was a blip. This is now becoming a bit more permanent in terms of the form. We can't continue in this vein. We can't continue in this fashion at the club. And if by God's chance we do not make the top four, questions have to be asked around the sporting director and the owners, because you can't blame Maresca for the fact that he's not got the right players. He's clearly sending a message by playing Caicedo as right back. He's clearly playing Nicholas Jackson because he hasn't got another alternative option. So he has to play these people. But you're 1.5 billion into a project. You have to have something else that you can go to. You can't spend that. You can't spend that much money and still need to dip into a market and buy an experienced centre back, buy a decent goalkeeper, get a recognised striker that's going to get you 20 goals a season. We shouldn't even be talking about who we need to go and get. We should already have them. We spent 1.5 billion pounds. Defensively, we are not good enough. We knew that already this season. We watched last season. We've seen it last season. The same issues that Pochettino had, Maresca's inherited them. They're still there. The same issues that he had under Pochettino are still here now. The same issues, the same defensive errors, defensive mistakes, not being able to play out from the back, not taking our chances as a striker. We can't keep doing this as a club. We can't. You can't sustain playing football the way that we're playing football and expecting us to have different results. I didn't think we were going to win the league. But when you're in a position where you're second in the league, you're pushing Liverpool, you're competing with Liverpool, you're doing well, and then have a crazy, chaotic Christmas period and not pick up any wins out of those results, you then have to start asking questions about, well, what's going on the training ground? What are we doing on the training ground? Why are we so poor still defensively? I actually feel sorry. I do generally feel sorry for Nicholas Jackson, and I feel sorry for Trevor Chalobah. Jackson should not be our main striker. I've said this countless times before. He needs competition and he needs someone to learn off. We should have a recognised striker, which we spoke about on here before, someone that is going to get you 15 to 20 goals a season. Jackson learns off that striker, gets his chances when he gets them, and then eventually he could become the main striker. Defensively, we knew all along defensively that we were poor. And time again, we keep making the same mistakes at the back. We've conceded more penalties so far this season than we did all of last season. We've got the most penalties conceded, 6. Because of the defensive errors at the back. I think we're joint 6 with Wolves in terms of penalties that we've conceded this season. And they're all defensive mistakes. You think back to the Liverpool one. I think there was a United mistake that we made, last night's mistake. We can't keep doing this, sustaining this. Let's talk about the match yesterday. The lineup threw me completely. The lineup absolutely threw me yesterday. I wouldn't have personally started with Nicholas Jackson, but we went with Robert Sanchez in goal. We had Moises Caicedo, albeit he was playing as an inverted fullback. And that goes back to the conversation that we had yesterday about Maresca not favouring fullbacks in his team. He prefers to have them invert. So that's potentially why you're going to see Moises Caicedo play there. Josh Ashimpong was centre-back with Levi Colwell, Marco Correa, Romeo Lavia, Enzo Fernandez, Noni Madueke, Cole Palmer, Jadon Sancho, Nicholas Jackson. And let's before I go any further, we can't even use injuries, suspensions. Let me just count how many Bournemouth players are out. We've got Adam Smith, Tavernier, Ines Unel, Sinisteria, Senesi, Scott, Evan Nilsson, Keppel was eligible. We can't use excuses. We can't use the excuse that we didn't have the players on the pitch, because we did. We can't use that excuse. We started the game well yesterday. But I didn't celebrate when the goal went in, because I know what comes after it. We sit back, become complacent and lazy. The goal was beautiful from Jackson. The ball, the weight of the pass, The run from Palmer, the feint, the dummy to drop the goalkeeper. What a goal. What a goal. It was a brilliant goal. But then you have to look at how we played after that. The amount of chances we created in that first half. Nicholas Jackson has to score one of them. He has to score one of those goals. We can't keep defending the guy that is meant to be scoring the goals and he can't put the ball away. And it goes back to my point. He should not be the striker. When he's not firing, we don't have someone else. We don't have another outlet. We don't have someone else we can bring off the bench. We don't have a Nicholas Anelka. We don't have a Demba Ba. We've always had options on the bench in our striking options, whether that's been Solomon Kalou, who's had to fill in there at times as well. We've always had someone, if Didier Drogba wasn't scoring, if Diego Costa was having a poor game, we've had someone we could bring on, Samuel Eto'o. We haven't even got that now. So when Nicholas Jackson's not performing well, the fans are getting on his back. You've got people like me getting on his back. You've got someone like John Obi Mikel getting on his back. Of course that's going to affect him. Don't even know what to say about him. But we've got to do something because at this moment, we're now hoping Newcastle tonight. We're 37 points. Newcastle 35 points. Man City thankfully dropped a 2-0 lead and then it ended up with a point yesterday. 35 points. Bournemouth 34 points. Villa 32 points. If Newcastle win, we're out the top four. We're out the top four. Now think about where we were 3 weeks ago. This is where it comes to Maresca because the 2 goals that we conceded, Lavia, I think for the first goal, is at fault. What? You're a midfielder. Your back's against the play. You've got the ball. You can't lose the ball, possession of the ball on the halfway line. I said it in the preview. I said the 2 in midfield for Bournemouth, which ended up being Tyler Adams and Lewis Cook in the end. They're going to take this game by the scruff of the neck. And they're gonna be on top of our defenders at every given opportunity with Semenyo, with Christie, with Brooks. They're all going to be on top of our defenders. And it happened. The moment that Semenyo gets that ball, Joshua Shempong hasn't got the cover. And you can't blame him. Second game, Premier League. Caicedo's wrong side of Semenyo. And he's always going to make that challenge because it's last ditch and he thinks he has to get there and he thinks he can get there. But that's a mistake that we made because Lavia, you've got the ball. You've got one option here. You can't play the ball back or lose it there. You've got to hold up the ball and release the ball earlier and don't dwell on it. So the penalty, avoidable. The second goal, I mean, you can't blame Josh Ashempong, but he tries to show him on the outside down the byline, but he doesn't do it well enough. But Sanchez has to do better there. You're getting beaten at your near post. Now, it was a powerful shot. It was a shot that, most goalkeepers would probably struggle with, but you've got to do better. You've got to do better. It's your near post. Make a save. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. And we're lucky. We're lucky because Reece James came on. And this is where I talk about Maresca, because the subs he made, so Joshua Shempong comes off. Sorry, Reece James came off 56 minutes. Lavia came off due to obviously getting minutes and whatever else. Now your other subs you bring on, bearing in mind at this point you're 2-1 down, Semenyo's just scored the goal 68 minutes into the game. Maresca's idea after this isn't to bring on an attacker, it's to bring on Tosin for Joshua Shempong. You're 2-1 down. You're 2-1 down. Let's look at the options on the bench. This is the 70th minute mark. Let's see who was on our bench. We had João Felix. We had Pedro Neto. We had Chris Nkunku, who didn't even get a game. We had Mark Gu. There's 4 options. You bring on Tosin. Tosin, you're 2-1 down. You're 2-1 down. Maresca, you're too stubborn. And stubbornness can get you sacked very quickly at this club. We've seen it with a lot of other managers. He's lucky because if this was the Roman era, the helicopter would be at Cobham right now. Let's be honest. If this is the Roman era, helicopters at Cobham. Ancelotti got sacked in the tunnel. Let's have it right. The standards have dropped at this club. The standards have dropped. I'm not saying we should win every single game at all, but the standards have dropped at the club to the point where we're bringing on tossing. I remember when we used to go 2-1 down, and you almost, especially at Stamford Bridge, you almost think, right, 2-1 down, we'll win the game regardless. Against Bournemouth, we'll win the game. We were lucky because Reece James, literally 90 plus, 5 minutes into stoppage time, brilliant free kick, and you could see what it meant to him. You could see what it means to Reece James to be back in the team. Maresca has to trust him now. We can't keep bringing him off the bench and giving him 45 minutes here, 50 minutes here. He's got to start games now. If he's on the bench, he's fit enough to start. That's the rule. That's the rules. If he's on the bench, he's fit enough to play the game. Trust him. We got Wolves on Monday. Play Reece James at right back. Don't play Caicedo. Don't throw Ashley Pong again. No pun intended, but to the Wolves. Don't. Put your captain, the experienced player, a leader, at the back. Put him in the team on Monday. Because when he came on, Reece James, credit to him, he changed the game for us. He changed the game. You see the difference in that right side. You saw it. You saw the quality in the free kick. We need someone to do that in games. We were very lucky. We could have lost that game easily. But the standards have dropped at the club. The standards have dropped at the club. We can't continue to go on like this. We're taking 2-2s and we're crediting the players for getting a 2-2 draw against Bournemouth. The standards have dropped at the club. Some of these players, and I'm not digging out any of these players individually, but as a collective, as a group, we all praised them before Christmas, November, October. Good start to the season. Good start in the Conference League. Looked very good in terms of how we were playing, counter-pressing football, attacking, attractive football. We were winning games. We were scoring more than one goal. Something's changed in that December period, whether it's something between owner, manager, which I feel like there's friction there now, because you've seen players come out, like Wesley Fofana come out and said, don't know why the manager's saying I'm out for the season, I'll be back in 6 weeks. You're seeing Renato Vega say that, actually, no, I want to play centre-back. I don't want to play left centre-back. I don't want to play left-back. I want to play as a centre-back. I want to go out on loan. I don't want to move on a permanent. So there's things going on there that just doesn't sit right with me. I feel like there's a bit of shift in dynamics in terms of what Maresca's had maybe control over the team. Maybe he's been, the team have been listening to him and now they're seeing things that they're not really happy with on the training ground or whatever's going on. But you're seeing a lot of things come out. The fact that we're having to recall Trevor Chalobah, the fact that Christopher Nkunku's clearly coming out and saying, look, I'm not getting the minutes I need at this club. Get me a move away. If he's saying things like that and then it's triple the effect, that ripple effect is going on to the other players, it's gonna create issues on the pitch for us. 2-2 against Bournemouth at home. A lucky 2-2 as well. The standards have dropped at the club. The standards have dropped at this club for too long now. And we all get, and I do it as well. But when we sign a player, I get excited. I see the player come in. I'm like, yeah, we've signed this person, that person. We get excited. But then we forget about the root cause of the problems. We forget about the fact when we signed Enzo, we still had issues. We forget when we signed Caicedo, we had issues still that we didn't address. When João Felix came through the door again, we were all happy, but we hadn't addressed all the other issues. When we signed Pedro Neto, another shock signing, we haven't addressed the root problem. And all these managers that are having issues with the owners, they all can't be all wrong. They all can't be wrong. The buck stops with the ownership. The ownership have an opportunity now to make things right in the summer. In fact, no, not the summer. They have to make certain changes now. And I'm not talking about recalling Trevor Chalobah. He shouldn't have gone in the first place. I'm talking about getting these signings over the line now. Even if you have to sign them now and they come in the summer, at least you know you've got someone coming in. But we have to get a recognised striker at this club, because we can't go even to the end of this season with Nicholas Jackson. We can't. We can't even afford to not get top 4 this season. That's the big reality. That's the joke. We can't even go this season without top 4. And that's not just because of results and points. That's financially as well. We can't miss out on top 4. because the ramifications of that and the impact of that is massive financially for us as a club. We can't afford to not be in it. So where do we go from here? That's what I want to know. Because Chelsea fans, if you talk, it's obviously a mixed opinion, but if you talk to some Chelsea fans, they're happy with things. They're happy that we're in the top four. I was happy we was in the top four when we were second in the league and we looked like we were continuing to win games. But after December, you have to ask a lot of questions. And we have to talk about the referee last night as well. We have to talk about the referee because let's have a look at this. This is from Dale Johnson, ESPN. Let's have a look at this. David Brooks' yellow card versus Chelsea was the first time in a Premier League game that a referee has rejected a red card review at the monitor. You couldn't make it up. You actually couldn't make it up. You could not make it up. You couldn't make it up. So all the other times when they've been sent to the screen and it's always been a red card, when the commentator's cliche thing where he says is, goes to the monitor, you know what's going to happen next. The one time when there should actually be a red card in the game, he gives a yellow card. You couldn't make it up. You could not make it up. The one time that we're supposed to see a red card for violent conduct or whatever you're going to call it, pulling of the hair around the throat of Cucurella, he gets a yellow card. He gets away with it. If that's not corruption, I don't know what is. I don't know what is. But it's a bit strange, isn't it? The one time that you've been sent to the screen. Sometimes we get fouls and they don't even send the referee to the screen. And the one time that you're supposed to send off the player, very similar to what happened at Southampton, going back to the game at Tottenham as well. You think back to, I think it was Romero on Cucurella, Anthony Taylor a couple of seasons ago. The one time you're supposed to send off a player, you don't do it. It's not good enough. But we can't just blame that on the ref. Last night was not down to the ref. Last night was down to us. Last night was down to us. Last night was down to us. Not the ref. It was down to Maresca. But the wider issue is the ownership. The wider issue is the ownership. Let's try and do this. Let's do this. Because I think people, when they see and hear this, let's hope we can do this. I want to see how many signings Todd Bowley and his little crew at the top, how many of them can we actually say are good enough to be at Chelsea? Let's have a look. Let's see if we can get the list up. Because I think until people see the reality of the situation that we're in, I don't think people will seriously understand it. Here we go. Here we go. Let's have a look. And this is probably an old list as well. Right. So we've got, this is all the players under, that we've signed under Todd Bowley. Raheem Sterling, 50 million. Where is he now? Arsenal. Can't get a game. Kalidou Koulibaly, 33 million. Where is he now? Saudi. Slanina, 8 million on loan. Can't get a game. Carney Chukwuemeka, 20 million. Where is he? On the bench. About to go to Dortmund. Mark Cucurella, 57.5 million. I'll give him a green tick. As I said before, he's one of the players that I think personally has done well this season. Cesare Casadei, 13.3 million. Where is he? He's not in the team. He's meant to be going to Torino or Monza. Wesley Fofana, 70 million. Spent most of that time in the medical room. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, 10.3 million. nowhere to be seen, left the club. Dennis Zakaria, 2.7 million loan fee. The less said, the better. David Datro Fofana, 10.6 million. Where is he? Not in the team. Benoit Badiashile, 33.7 million. Not good enough. Andre Santos, another one. Let's credit him actually, but 11.1 million on loan at Strasbourg. No thoughts of recalling him back into the team. João Felix. This is where it gets crazy. João Felix, 9.7 million loan fee. Mikhailo Mudryk, 62 million. Waiting for the B sample. Less said the better. Nani Madueke, 30 million. Can't cross a ball. Not good enough. Malo Gusto, 26.7 million. Not good enough. Doesn't even fit into Maresca's plans. You got Moises Caicedo playing as a right back. Enzo Fernandez, 107.8 million pounds. Not good enough. Christopher Nkunku, 52 million. Can't get a game. Can't get a game. Can't get a game above Nicholas Jackson as false nine. You can't get a game. Diego Moreira, free transfer, we'll let him off, but still not in the team. There's a long list. There's a long list, guys. If you're here, subscribe, like the video, share your thoughts in the comments. But Nicholas Jackson, 31.5 million. 9 goals, 21 games in the league. 9 goals so far this season. Angelo Gabriel, 30 million, not in the team. Leslie Ogunchukwu, 23.3 million. Don't think he's been recalled from Southampton yet. I think he's still there. Axel Dazazi, 38.9 million. Not good enough. Can't defend, can't pass the ball. No positional awareness. Prone to mistakes. Robert Sanchez, 20 million. I think he was third choice at Brighton at the time. Steele was ahead of him at Brighton. 20 million. Can't play out from the back. Not the best shot stopper. Brain like a goldfish. Moises Caicedo, I'll let him off. I still think 150 million is over the top for him, but it is what it is. He's playing to the standards that we need him to play. So Romeo Lavia, 53.2 million. Injury prone. 50 million pounds. David Washington, 13.7 million. Nowhere to be seen. Cole Palmer, 40 million. We'll let Cole Palmer off because back-to-back seasons, he's the one that's been carrying the team. 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. Petrovic, 13.6 million. Not in the team. Tosin, free transfer, let him off. Probably going to sell him for a bit of profit. Mark Gu, 5.1 million. Can't be mad at that. Can't be mad at that because he's done well in the Conference League and that's what he was brought in to do, to learn off a striker. But we haven't got the striker he needs to learn from. Caleb Wiley. I don't even know who that is. Who is that? Who is Caleb Wiley? 8.6 million pounds. Never heard of the guy. I didn't even know who is he? Who is he? Renato Vega, 12 million. About to be loaned out after 6 months at the club. Doesn't want to be here. Aaron Anslamino, 14 million. Just been recalled. Not going to kick a ball this season according to Maresca. Needs to climatise to the English weather. Amari Kellerman, 19.2 million. I don't think he's... Has he started a senior game? I don't think he has. Keenan Dewsbury Hall, 30.2 million. About to be sold to West Ham. Not in the manager's plans. Not good enough. Pedro Neto, 51 million. Shock signing. Good player. Did we need him? Probably not. Crazy. João Felix again, 42.6 million. Crazy. Crazy. Add that on top of the other one, you're talking just over 50 million. 52 million for João Felix, including that loan fee of 9.7 plus the 42.6 million. And that was only done to get rid of Conor Gallagher. Out of all those players, 36 players on permanent deals, 2 on loan. 3. So 33 players, in my opinion, are not the level we need to compete in the Champions League. Cole Palmer, Marco Correa, Moises Caicedo are the only 3 players, in my opinion, that are starters, that are guaranteed starters next season. Guaranteed starters next season. 3 players out of 36 players. 3 players. You signed 2 squads. Christ, you signed 2 squads and we've only got 3 players. 3 players. And all those 3, by the way, Marco Correa, 57 million. Cole Palmer, 40 million. Let's just call that a cool 97 million. And Caicedo. So you're talking 200, round it off. Let's just say 220 million. 3 players out of 1.5 billion pounds. That's good enough. That are starters in the team. It isn't good enough. This is down to the ownership of just hemorrhaging the money at the club, throwing things at the club, and it hasn't worked. So we can blame Maresca. We can say that Maresca is a problem. Yes, tactically he needs to do things better. Yes, he has to get the team playing better. Yes, he has to in-game tactics, management of the game has to be better. Don't wait till the 80th minute to bring on your attackers. Bring them on at half time if we need to. If you can see that the game is going against you, if we go 2-1 down, bring on the attackers. Don't bring on Tosin for Josh Ashiempong. What's the point in that? What's the point in that? You're 2-1 down. You need a goal. You need a goal. Bringing on Tosin. His in-game management has to be better. It has to be better, because if we continue on this path, I don't even need to remind you guys who we've got coming up in the next couple of weeks, but I'm going to anyway because I'm nice like that. I'm going to remind you guys. We've got Wolves on Monday. Next Saturday, we've got a lovely trip to the Etihad. You know what our record's like there as well. Let's have that right as well. Then we go to West Ham. Graham Potter's West Ham. You could come back to Stamford Bridge, the ground that sacked him, the ground that we gave a lot of abuse to, the ground that he didn't have the best of time in his managerial career, and probably get a win with West Ham. They played really well last night, by the way. 2 stints, 1 FA Cup, 1 league game against Brighton, both away, both at the Amex. Then we go to Villa. Let me remind you of our games at the end of the season as well. This is where it gets funny as well. Let me do this in reverse order. Our last game of the season, ironically, is against a team that I thought we'd be calmly getting 3 points at when the season started. But we've got Forest last game of the season. Before that, we have United, then Newcastle, then Liverpool, then Everton. That's our last 5 games of the season. Now, if we're struggling to get top 4 now, and if again, like I keep saying, if we get into top 4 and stay there for the rest of this season now, which I think is a very big ask of this team based on how we're playing, those 5 games, Forest, United, Newcastle, Liverpool and Everton, none of those games are easy. None of those games are easy. Forest away will not be easy. Newcastle St James's Park will not be easy. Even Everton coming to Stamford Bridge and us having to play Liverpool at Stamford Bridge, they're not easy games. At all. I think we've bottled top 4. I'm going to be honest. I feel at this point now, even if Newcastle don't win tonight, you've only got to look at the games. Wolves, I think, will be a tricky game on Monday. But there's an argument to say that Nicholas Jackson needs a rest now. He needs to be taken out of the team for me. Nicholas Jackson should not be in the team. We have to understand that we need a goalkeeper in this team. We can't continue with Sanchez in goal. And for the life of me, I don't understand why Maresca is still persistent with him. Stubbornness will get you sacked at a club like Chelsea. I keep saying he's so grateful that he's not under the Roman era, because under Roman, their helicopter would be right there now at Cobham. The helicopter would be there. Roman Abramovich would be off. He wouldn't even be taking training today if this was under Roman. No wins in 5. No wins in 5. You would not be at Cobham taking training this morning. You'd be packed. Your office would be empty. You'd be gone under Roman. The standards have dropped at the club. And what we have to be careful of is we don't end up like United Arsenal, they're going into what, this is like their 21st season. 21 years without a Premier League title. Liverpool have only won it once, but they look like they could win it again. United, when was their last league win? We could end up going down that route of just pure, I've just reeled off the list. I don't need to do it again, but the recruitment is not good enough. You can't spend £1.5 billion. No one can tell me that £1.5 billion should only get you, 1.5 billion should get you the league. You should be winning the league with that. You've got to use the resources properly. How can you spend that much and we still have a goalkeeper? I'm watching it right now on the TV. How we got a goalkeeper that gets beaten like that for the second goal? In goal after £1.5 billion. £1.5 billion has been spent at this club. And we still have a goalkeeper that we all are hesitant to have in goal. I'm just watching the Cucurella challenge here. I mean, he's clotheslined Cucurella and pulled his hair. I mean, that's some good going from Brooks, to be fair. But the ref, how the ref got sent to the screen, looked at it, slow motion, and probably in real time as well, and deemed it a yellow card is corruption at its fucking finest, because that is the most blatant red card I think you're ever going to see. And this is where the PGMOL, whatever the fucking hell they're called, need to come out and own up. And the manager should be demanding that the referee comes out. Just like when Liverpool, you think back to Liverpool where it was Jurgen Klopp last season and they were able to get the referee to come out when they made that wrong decision at Spurs. The managers need to start coming out and saying to the ref, come out and tell the world why you done that. Because we need to understand how the referees looked at that. And it's a yellow card. You've clotheslined the player. It's crazy. It's crazy. But we can't, I don't even want to blame the referee. The referee's not the reason we lost, we drew the game, but it felt like a loss. He's not the reason why. The reason why is our in-game management of games is poor. Maresca clearly is not in favour of certain players in this team, Malo Gusto being one of them. But you've got to trust some of these players. You're going to have to, because if the owners aren't giving you the players that you want, or the players that we want are not available right now, you're going to have to trust Reece James can see out the rest of the season at right back now. We've recalled Trevor Chalobah. I hope it works for him this season at the club. It looks like Axel Disasi now will leave the club, maybe go to Juventus or Newcastle, but it looks like he's going. But we have to hope that Trevor Chalobah comes in and is given the game time. There'll be nothing worse if we still end up playing Benoit Badiashile and Axel Disasi and Josh Achiempong before we consider Trevor Chalobah. There's a part of me thinks that the club will do that to him. They'll recall him, but he has to play. The good thing about this deal that we've recalled him is he has to play, because if the club do want to sell Trevor Chalobah in the summer, which is, I would say, at least 90% likely that they're going to do that, they have to put him in the shop window. He has to be playing football regular. Trevor Chalobah should never have left his club in the first place. This is his club. This is his club. He's been at the club all his life. And if it doesn't show you anything, it shows you that anyone's at it. Anyone can get it at Chelsea. Anyone. Players, staff, managers, the owners don't give a shit. They don't care about anything but money coming into this club. And that's the problem. And when Chelsea fans realise that and wake up and realise that the owners aren't probably that bothered about the fact that we don't make top four. They should be, but they won't be. For a couple of reasons. One, they're going to make money anyway, regardless. Megastore, ticket sales, generating the revenue. They'll get money for finishing wherever they finish in the Premier League and whatever else, and all that. And to be fair, they know how the loopholes work. They're going to be able to sustain the PSRs and all that nonsense and all the rest of it. So they're not that bothered. The Club World Cup will generate money for them as well. But as a fan, I want to see my club win things. I want to see my club going back to the days of lifting the Premier League trophy, lifting the Champions League, playing in the Champions League. I'll take that right now as well. But these owners have to wake up, because you're seeing City bolstering their squad. United will do the same in the summer. They're in a mess, but they're in a bigger mess than we are in terms of results and all the rest of it this season. But they will improve that squad in the summer, 100%. And we've tried to do that 1.5 billion. but we still need a goalkeeper. We need a striker in that team. Because if we don't get all of that, write this season off. Write this season off. They better hope to God we get top 4. Because I think Chelsea fans now will stop looking at the manager and start looking at the sporting directors. Start looking at the owners. Start looking at the people that brought the club off Roman Abramovich, promised a lot of things, haven't delivered on those things, and now all we're seeing at the moment is poor results, and we're looking at the manager. The manager takes some of the blame, but the owners have to stand up now and give the manager what he wants. Give him what he wants. Because Potter, Pochettino, Enzo Maresca, all of them have struggled at this club. And it can't be a coincidence that all 3 of them struggled because of their tactical awareness or their tactical understanding of how they want their team to play at Chelsea. Now you have to start thinking about, well, the profile of the players aren't fitting into the manager's ideas. We're recalling players we wanted to get out. Ekbali's on the phone to Trevor Chalobah at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday night, begging him to come back, reassuring him he's going to get game time. That tells you, I just went through the list, the 36 players that we've signed under this ownership. 3 of them, Cucurella, Cole Palmer and Moises Caicedo, are the only 3 that you're guaranteed to get a good performance out of them. They're guaranteed, they're bankers to start games for us next season and this season. All the others, all the other 33, they're not nailed on. 2 squads we've got, A and B team. And out of that, you could only say 3 of them are returning value for money. If that doesn't make Chelsea fans wake up and start thinking about the ownership as opposed to what the manager's trying to do. A prime example of that is, look at Nuno at Forest. He was at Spurs. You could argue he had better players at Spurs than he did at Forest. But when you're given the time, you're given the right players, the right resource, you're backed by the owners, you can see how well things can work out. You could put Maresca in another team and he'll probably do just as better than he is at Chelsea because he's been given the resources, the correct resources. Not a bunch of 18, 19, 20-year-olds. Not signing players that were misprofiling in Renato Vega. Not signing players that have had a poor injury record. Wesley Fofana, Lavia, for 50 million. We've got to start looking at the owners. The owners have to take accountability. For our season hinges on top 4 for me as a fan. If we don't make it and somehow we end up in Europa League or Conference League, it's all on the owners for me. Not the manager, the owners. Because the owners have been here for too long for this project to still be on its arse on the floor, not seeing any progress from it, not seeing any players being developed properly. We haven't seen any of those 36 players develop. None of them have developed. None of these young players that they've signed, apart from Andre Santos, but again, he hasn't proved himself at Chelsea yet. None of them have developed, or we've not seen a progress and thought, right, I can see why you spent 30 million on this player or 20 million on that player. We haven't seen any of that. None of these players have improved under this ownership. Now, you could argue that's because they've had managerial changes over that time, but at the same time as well, players have to step up as well. Enzo Fernandez, you got to step up, mate. You want to be captain and you want to be the guy next to Caicedo, you got to step up. Noni Madueke, not good enough. Get rid of him. If the owners are serious, they'll look at this squad and see that it's not good enough. It's not. Theo said it on here before. I've said it on here before. If we go into the Champions League with this squad next season and by hell we make it there, this squad is not good enough. This squad is not good. This squad is not good enough to go up against Barcelona or Real Madrid or Bayern Munich, AC Milan, Atlanta, Napoli. This squad is not good enough. This squad can't even beat Bournemouth or Ipswich or Fulham or Everton. Put this squad against Real Madrid and see what happens. Maybe that's what it needs. Maybe we need a thrashing. Maybe we need someone like Brighton to hammer a 7-0 before it hits home with some of these Chelsea fans that this recruitment has been poor. Maybe that's what it needs for people to start realising that it's not just the manager's fault, the owners at the top, the sporting directors, they've got a lot to answer for at this club. 1.5 billion. 1.5 billion. And we've got 3 players that you could say, right, bankers next season, they're starting. No goalkeeper, no striker, no recognised solid defender at the back. But we spent 1.5 billion. Let me know what you think, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe. Let me know if you think we're going to get top 4 as well. Because I personally, right now, regardless of the Newcastle result tonight, I generally think we don't make top 4 now. I don't think we make top 4. Financially, that's crazy for us because the ramifications of that, like I said, the implications of not making top 4. But let me know what you think. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like this video. We'll be back very soon.